If you've ever walked through a shopping centre with nowhere to sit, you're not imagining it. Benches are scarce, seats are often tucked away, and when you do find one, it's usually already occupied. It feels like an obvious oversight. After all, people get tired, people wait, people need somewhere to pause. But in retail spaces, seating isn't missing by accident. It's missing because seating changes how spaces behave, and not in ways designers usually want. At first glance, adding a few benches seems harmless. It might even seem helpful. But the moment you add seating, you change how people move, how long they stay, and how the space has to be managed. Retail environments are designed around flow, not just foot traffic, but predictable movement. When people are standing, they keep moving. When people sit, they stop being part of that flow. That pause matters more than it seems. Seated people become obstacles in circulation paths. They create clusters, they block sightlines, they interrupt the steady rhythm that large commercial spaces rely on to function smoothly. A standing crowd spreads out, a seated crowd concentrates. From a design perspective, that concentration creates friction, and friction is something retail spaces are built to avoid. There's also the question of space efficiency. Every square meter in a shopping center has an implied value. That value is often measured not just in rent, but in exposure. What shoppers see as they move through the space matters. A bench doesn't generate revenue, it doesn't display products, and it doesn't guide people past storefronts. Once seating is installed, it becomes a permanent allocation of space. That space can no longer be used for pop-up displays, temporary promotions, or reconfigured layouts. In a system that constantly adapts to seasonal retail cycles, fixed seating is surprisingly inflexible. Then there's maintenance. Seats invite long stays invite litter, and litter invites complaints. A bench doesn't just need to exist, it needs to be cleaned, monitored, repaired, and kept safe. Upholstered seating wears quickly. Hard seating becomes uncomfortable. Both require regular attention. In high-traffic environments, even small maintenance issues multiply quickly. Retail designers tend to ask a simple question: does this feature earn its keep? And seating often struggles to justify itself. There's also liability. When people sit, they settle. They put down bags, they remove shoes, they eat, they rest. From a legal standpoint, seated areas introduce more risk than open walkways. Trips, falls, spilled drinks, damaged property all become more likely when people stop moving and start occupying space. For large commercial operators, reducing risk is as important as increasing sales. Fewer benches mean fewer reasons for people to linger in ways the space isn't designed to support. But perhaps the most important factor is behavioral. Standing shoppers behave differently from seated ones. When people stand, they're more aware of their surroundings. They move with purpose. They browse while walking. They respond to visual cues. When people sit, their focus narrows. They disengage from the environment. They're no longer browsing, or they're waiting. From a retail perspective, waiting is unproductive time. Not because rest is bad, but because the space isn't built to serve it well. Retail environments are optimized for short interactions, repeated exposure, and gentle momentum. Seating interrupts that momentum. That's why when seating does appear, it's often strategic. Near entrances, near restrooms, near food courts. These are transitional zones, places where pausing already makes sense. Notice how rarely seating is placed in the middle of retail corridors. Not because designers forgot, but because those corridors are doing a job. They're moving people. Some spaces, like airports or hospitals, look similar but behave differently. Seating is expected there because waiting is part of the experience. Retail, by contrast, is designed around circulation, not dwell time. That's also why the seating you do find in retail spaces often feels uncomfortable. Hard surfaces, short benches, armrests dividing seats. This isn't accidental either. Uncomfortable seating discourages extended stays without completely removing the option to rest. It's a compromise and a way to offer relief without changing the overall behaviour of the space. In recent years, this balance has started to shift slightly. As shopping centres compete with online retail, some have added more lounges, cafes, and informal seating, but notice where this happens. Usually in clearly defined zones, often near food, almost never in primary retail arteries. The rule hasn't disappeared. It's just been carefully bent. So when you find yourself leaning against a wall or sitting on the edge of a planter, it's not because designers forgot about you. It's because seating is more disruptive than it seems. It affects flow, it affects maintenance, it affects liability, and it affects how space earns its value. Once you see those constraints, the empty corridors start to make sense. Retail spaces aren't designed for comfort first, they're designed for movement. And in that system, standing is the default.